Hey, this is Jim at Worship Stream TV. In this segment, we invited Peyton from Panasonic to join us to talk about their new Kairos Production Systems. Kairos is being implemented and installed in churches throughout the country. It is a great live production platform to help you get to that next level of production for all of your worship services, anything happening, especially in some of the larger house of worship type venues, where you need to make sure you have access to all of the broadcast level production tools. Hey, Peyton, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jim, for having me.
So I really want to introduce Kairos to our audience. I know Kairos has been around for a couple of years now, but still may be very new to our audience who is tuning in today. The Panasonic name brand, of course, is very well known throughout the industry. You guys have a full family of Pro PTZ cameras for every level of the marketplace. And now you're taking advantage of that history in production with the Kairos Live Production Systems. So Peyton, that's why I wanted to invite you on to introduce Kairos to our audience today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Kairos is our live production platform. And, a lot of people are used to this traditional SDI approach with FPGA hardware. And so really where Kairos shines is now it's GPU based. So you have this flexibility to be able to, what people are used to with fixed MEs or keyers, now with this GPU based hardware, those kind of constraints are gone away. And, as we kind of go through the Kairos system, people are always super concerned that it's a very expensive system, but we actually have a entry-level core, the KC200L1, which really kind of gets you into the ecosystem of the Kairos products. Panasonic's approach is really the IP transport, but for those who aren't quite ready for the IP transport, we also have SDI options available to them today as well. With that being said, one of the core, we have 4 different cores, the 200, 200P, and the 2000P, and the 2000P S1, which really enables you to be able to kind of pick and choose which cores are essential for your type of production. Especially in the house of worship market, the L1 might be the perfect option for you, which is an entry-level core that really just gets you into the ecosystem of Kairos. So along with the Kairos cores is that creator software. The creator software really allows you to program your core very flexible in a flexible way, and it enables you as the user to use an interface that you're familiar with using. We have a lot of different control options that give you significant flexibility. So a lot of houses of worship might not need this advanced full-size panel, and that's okay. There's a lot of different tools that you can use to actually program your show or be able to control your show, all the way down to as simple as just a stream deck. Panasonic also makes just a touch control software, which allows you just to stream a multi-view, and I can just touch on a screen, select what sources I want to be going to program, and it gives you that immense amount of flexibility to not only just use one of these, but I can use any of these control options at any given time inside of the Kairos ecosystem. And multiple of these panels can be connected. Not only
and Peyton, I think that's important to note for all of our audience tuning in is when you're working with Kairos integrator to set up your system for your house of worship, they're going to work with you to identify the core power that's required for your productions, and then pair that with the control panels, both on site and in a remote production space, to let you get the most out of that system, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the panel is really just a tool, right, to be able to control the core. And so, yes, I can have just one of these small stream decks and some software in front of me while I'm potentially controlling a core that's all the way across the other side of the country. And actually, when we get into the demo today, that's exactly what I'm doing, and can actually show you that I'm based here in Orlando, and I'm going to be controlling a core all the way in Chicago. And so that's kind of the flexibility of some of the remote capabilities that Kairos has to offer from a software and physical control standpoint.
Absolutely.
So,
And I think that's one of the things that our audience asks for all the time is being able to take advantage of the resources wherever they might be throughout the world to get that production done on a week in and week out basis. So you talked about the Kairos system being GPU driven. It's that drive along with that AV over IP and the ability to work with all those different standards that makes this perfect for those remote installations, right?
yes, absolutely. Yeah. So no matter what your flavor of protocol you want to use, whether it's SDI, SMPTE 2110, NDI, SRT, RTMP, Kairos can take in any of those signals and output any of those signals at any given time. So with those types of capabilities, now I can stream back SRT feeds, directly to me in a remote location, directly from the core, so I can see my multi-view. I can see everything that I need to be able to see from a remote location.
And I think one of the other powerful tools that Kairos offers is not only the flexibility in that ingest and production capability, but also in the deliverability and the way that it has to manage different streams of all different sizes and all of those features that Kairos brings to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. So the screen management side is really one of the shining points of Kairos, and actually a lot of houses of worship sometimes implement Kairos as a screen management platform before they ever even use it as a switcher. There's actually countless stories of people needing something to drive content to their LED wall, and Kairos is a great fit for them. And so they actually implement that, and then later down the line, they can always use it as a video switcher, or as an upgrade, down the line if they decide they want to replace their current video switcher. But yeah, Kairos can now remove that multi-screen processor out of line, and actually the cost savings behind that, it could be significant, especially for those that are trying to potentially do a video upgrade. They want to upgrade their switching, maybe their iMac, but they're also implementing some LED wall or just some sort of large canvas that is projecting, a wide screen. Also, the portrait image that you see there, maybe you want to stream directly to Instagram in a portrait thing. You can do that directly from Kairos and use the canvas functionalities inside of Kairos to kind of build out different orientations that you couldn't traditionally do in a switcher. And that GPU processing is what gives you that flexibility.
And I think that's where the affordability of the system comes into place. When you look at a Kairos platform and the entire workflow from beginning to end, the cost of investment into that system is very comparable to other systems when you're mixing and matching and combining the different components required throughout the workflow. So you really have to look at that complete workflow investment. And I think that's why having a trained and certified installer base really helps to get that message across when we're talking to these churches who are looking to implement the future production tools like Kairos across it. And I know that you have some interesting case studies where this has been exactly what has come up throughout their workflows, right?
Yes, absolutely. So this use case that you can see in front of you is actually Church of the King out of New Orleans. And they're a multi-site campus. They have lots of different locations. This one currently is their main broadcast location, and they implemented a new LED wall into their ecosystem. They've kind of gone all in on Kairos, and not only are they just using it for their switching, but they're also using it for screen management. And it saved them a significant amount of cost from not having to do some sort of multi-screen processor. So what you see in front of you is actually one giant UHD signal spread across the pixel count there, and they can actually pip and put things on each individual panel that you see in front of you. So they can add layers onto those specific panels and be able to use them as different content throughout their service. So it's kind of giving them significant flexibility directly from their switcher. And why does that matter? That you're doing it from your switcher is latency. So they're actually able to decrease their latency in system latency by using only one piece of hardware. So actually, what you don't see in that picture is their house left, house right projection. Their projectors were actually slower than their LED wall because their projectors are not gen locked. And so we actually were able to add delay to their LED wall to be able to make sure that everything was in sync with their main iMac cut along with their LED wall. And then now everything is uniform, and they've actually even talked about to expanding that canvas beyond just a UHD signal and incorporate their side screens into their canvas so that they can run a motion background from all the way from left to right across their entire screen. And it just becomes one giant canvas.
And we're seeing a lot of houses of worship deploy these LED screens, and they're always asking questions about latency, about management, about getting the content onto those screens. We've had segments this week where we're talking about the LED screens themselves. We're talking about matching the right camera to the frame rate to get the right picture. So now you can have that live experience with the giant LED screen in the church, but still have the video streaming experience for the audience at home or that remote audience that needs to tune in. So Kairos really allows you to do all of that and allows you to maximize that canvas outlay all right from that production switcher, right?
That's right. Yeah, so you're able to do up to 66 megapixels just from inside of one canvas inside of Kairos, which is a lot of pixels. So a big church actually based in Atlanta, which another scenario where they actually aren't even using Kairos as a switcher, and then they upgraded it later to be also their switcher. They pushed it first as just a screen management platform because it was more affordable than actually a screen management platform that allowed them to do all the pipping and layer-based content that they want. And that's why the GPU power is so powerful. They can just keep adding keyers on top of keyers on top of keyers, and they don't have to think through their show anymore of like, oh, I only have 4 keyers per ME or 8 keyers per ME. They can just keep copying and pasting layers or adding new layers inside of Kairos Creator, and it gives them that significant flexibility. So they don't really have to tell any of their executive staff or directors, no, we can't do this. We actually can do this. With this increased investment of this LED wall, we can do this type of creative content that we're looking to produce.
And I'm counting the boxes as you're talking here. We're showing 8 independent screens at 4K resolutions. So you're really able to pump out some unbelievably gorgeous content to these displays, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's significant content. And actually, all that content can even live directly inside of Kairos. You don't even need an additional piece of hardware to be able to push that content to these screens.
That's great. And I know that Kairos is continuing to evolve and really just continue to grow. You're doing a lot with the Kairos Creator software, but you're upgrading a lot of different aspects of the system. So tell us about some of the newest and greatest features.
Yeah, so one of the their version 1.8 is being released here at the end of February. And so we're constantly pushing out new firmware, new software for the Kairos core itself. And that's one of the selling points in my mind. The switcher you buy today isn't baked, like it's not going to just stay the way that it is. You're going to get new features, new upgrades almost on a quarterly basis to be able to improve your workflow. We love working with our end users, getting great feedback about what new features they want to see implemented. And that's one of the beautiful parts of a software-based switcher. So one of the ones that, especially for remote production, is HTML5 graphic support. So natively, you'll be able to ingest HTML5 if you have a specific third-party software. That's essential for remote production. So if someone could be at home just triggering their graphics remotely, it's just a web URL that you input inside of Kairos, and the graphics basically just show up. Additional flexible resolution. So, broadcast standard is just 16:9, but, beyond that, people want to, output to projector. So we're introducing 16:10, also DCI, which is most people know as 4096 by 2160. So DCI 4K is really giving a lot of people additional flexibility and additional resolution canvas inside of the canvas to work with. Something else is multiple core control. So additional cores, we talked about a bunch of panels can be connected to one core, but in this new software, you'll actually be able to connect up to 2 cores to one panel. So if my canvas was really so significantly massive, beyond that 66 megapixels, I could drive, different sections of an LED wall with different cores, or I could have another core being utilized for multiple productions. So you have a podcast studio happening at the same time. You have an overflow room that needs a different line cut. This is really kind of giving you additional flexibility from your control panel. And there's easy IP support and additional SCAR raw panel integration. If you're familiar with the PTZs, easy IP. It's just a simple way to configure your IP addresses and makes it a really easy way to kind of configure a full Panasonic ecosystem. And then the SCAR raw panel, we actually natively support their protocol. So it's as simple as setting up one of our panels. So we're adding all of their different manufacturing hardware panels that might be smaller and simpler and easier for people to use. And so that gives you a lot more flexibility, like the Waveboard mixer, which we have an audio mixer built inside of Kairos. All of those different control faders can control the software if you need a physical control surface.
And I think that flexibility really is a key. I know you're located in Florida, and you're able to demo and show off how Kairos can work by accessing the machine in Chicago, you said, right?
That's right.
Why don't we fire up that demo?
Yeah, let's jump in.
Cool.
So actually, this window you see in front of me is actually our Kairos Creator software. And so that's kind of the software interface that you are able to use and to build out your show. And in the top right-hand corner here, I have a window that is actually the multi-view. And in this actually preview window is actually a stream of one of the cameras in Hoffman Estates, Illinois, just outside of downtown Chicago. And that is actually a PTZ camera. And actually what's pretty cool about that PTZ is I can remotely control the PTZ from here in Orlando. I can zoom, control, recall different presets. And that's one of the cool remote capabilities that I can do. So if your core was located, let's just say down the street and it's another COVID situation and you didn't want to go in, and we're doing, some more remote production, I could actually have a bunch of different PTZs, robotics or things that, you don't have camera operators. I can control my PTZs. I can fire presets. I can cut my show all simply from a remote production. And that's all by using this Kairos Creator software. This multi-view up here, one of the great parts about this is I can just natively start pulling these different windows out, which could be potentially different multi-views that you have to be able to see your show. So if I have multiple computer screens, I could, drag these windows directly to those screens and be able to cut my show natively right from my computer screen at home. And so you can see I actually have some House of Worship footage that I'm just cutting through here on my central control surface. So this software, I don't have a physical control panel in front of me. So one nice thing is I can actually just use this software, this control surface, to be able to cut my different show and be able to natively, just from the software, controlling a core all through just a site-to-site VPN, which is just a little router. You could set a public IP. We've done it before. If you're secure, you're not too worried about your IT department getting onto you. You could set an IP, public IP address, and you don't need any hardware. You just, as long as you're connected to the internet, you can access your Kairos core. What I'd like to do next is talk about the scenes builder, which is the power behind a lot of this GPU based system. So inside of Kairos, you might be used to things being bogged down, where traditional switchers have like a lot of menus to get through. This is all just one simple menu with a bunch of different things. And actually, churches work with a lot of volunteers. And so sometimes maybe I want to be able to lock them out of different things. So I actually created a different user group for just House of Worship, and I can log into that. And now when I click on my mixer, I have limited control of what I'm actually able to see and do. So now I'm locked out of all the different, background settings and system settings that would actually, potentially, cause a problem from someone changing something. I can actually, if I just want to volunteer just to be able to cut my show, now they can't accidentally click on something or step on someone else. All they can do is click this, they get their multi-view, or they can even jump to a live view feed of a multi-view even with inside of Kairos here. I'm going to jump back to the admin settings here just to be able to show the full capabilities, but something simple and easy to do for your volunteers at your church. So inside of our scenes builder here, you'll see I have a directory over here on the left with all of these different scenes, and what we call scenes in Kairos are actually just MEs. So you have a handful of templates to start with. I have a main scene here and a 32 by 9. It's as simple as right mouse clicking new scene. So that's like I just added another ME to my core and to my show. And it doesn't really matter how many of these I create or make. The moment that one of these scenes are outputted is when I start taxing my GPU. You'll notice my GPU meter up here is 13% currently. So that's the flexibility of building out your show, all from different MEs or different looks. I can do that simply and easily, all from Kairos Creator. In my main scene here, you'll notice I have different layers. So I have this one layer here that has that's currently routed black. I'm actually going to route it a different still that I have programmed here. If I double click, I have a bunch of different stills already preloaded inside of the Kairos core. But I'll go ahead and select my Kairos logo for now. And as long as I enable that with the little eyeball, now you'll see the Kairos logo is up in front. I'll click my 2D transform, and this is just to kind of show how quick and easy and in real time I can move things around, scale it, completely flexible, if I want that little live bug sitting in the top right-hand corner of my screen. Now, a lot of churches, are doing this like cinematic kind of style look. So what I'll do is I'll just copy and paste this layer here. And actually, I'll go ahead and remove this live bug down here and actually go ahead and route black back to it. And I'll just reset my 2D transform settings. And I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to pull this in and create more of like this, black bar look that a lot of the churches are doing nowadays. And then I'll copy and paste this other layer. And then what I'll do is I'll just actually remove this my sign here. And now I've created this cinematic, quickly built, cinematic look for my end production. So what I can do is I can always rename this. I can call this, 239, which is typically the Cinema 239 bars. You could rename your different layers. So anytime those show up inside of your core, I know exactly what it is. I don't have to remember that, key 1 or key 2 is my 239, layers. So what I'll do is I'll just store a snapshot. So these are just basically saving what you see in front of you. And then what I'll do is I'll go back to my scene and move my black bars up and down and out of the way. So now I'll save another snapshot. We'll call it off. And then now I'll do an auto. I'll make sure that all of these are, I'm going to force dissolve all of these two different snapshots. Then I'll do an auto dissolve as well. So now when I'm in my scene, so say I go into a worship moment and I want to recall this snapshot, I can recall it. It brings my black bars in, and the pastor's getting up, he's giving his sermon. I want to recall these off. I can recall these off. And so there's a lot of different flexibility that you can do inside of Kairos, and this is just like one thing that a lot of people are currently doing, and it kind of allows them the new flexibility of, now I don't have to think through how many keys I have. I can just keep stacking and stacking and stacking all within that one main scene. I want to quickly jump over to our 32 by 9. So this is more of our screen management scene here. So this would be considered like another ME. So this is a 32 by 9 scene. And so now I have my, currently my motion background here is actually just loaded directly inside of our RAM player. You'll see this little green check mark here. So this is just a looping background that I've loaded inside of Kairos. You have different RAM players up here as well, but you'll notice that none of those are actually playing. Those are just for like stingers or, lower thirds that you want to trigger on and off. I can do anything that needs like transport control. So anything that you just want to loop as like a motion background, I can load that in, load it to RAM. It's not taking up any of your still stores or, media playbacks or, what other switchers might call it. This also recognizes alpha, so I don't have to marry two different signals together. I can just load in anything that has an alpha channel embedded. and and it'll recognize it. So inside of my 32:9 scene, I have my motion background going, and then what I'll actually do on this layer is I'm going to route our graphics channel just to kind of show another example of some lyrics here. And so now I have that simple look, but one of the powerful things of Kairos is now let's just say I wanted to create something new. And actually, I just made a mistake by moving this down. I didn't say this earlier, but Control Z works. So if I make a mistake, I can just on my keyboard Control Z and move it. But I want to hold down Control and move the lyrics over to the right. And then maybe I want to add a new layer. We'll call it main. And this will be our main scene. So we're going to actually add this source from our scene. So this would what people call ME reentries, which actually doesn't add any additional latency by doing an ME reentry. So now I've just added my main broadcast feed into my my main screen, and now I can actually enable my 2D transform and scale this pip down. And now I've just created lyrics on the left, main feed on the right. If you don't have iMag, in the room, you just have one main LED wall. This is a great way to, do some iMag if you feel the need to do something like that. But this is the power of now I have a canvas that's 3840 by 1080. And now I can even show you the flexibility of now we're pushing 30,000 pixels in this one unique canvas in real time. It's making that change. So all I have to do is just route these scenes to, in this case, 2 different outputs that would be feeding that LED wall. And then there's no ME stitching that is happening here. I can move this pip all around between the two, and I don't have to stitch 2 MEs together. And it's just a uniform look. So the last thing I'll touch on here is just some of the capabilities of Kairos from removing other pieces of hardware that would potentially be needed that could save you in the long run. So we just talked about screen management. So it saves you from a screen processor, also clip player. So I have clip playback with playlists. So anything that removes an additional computer that could be potentially needed. I have stills, which could do like presentations, playlists for those. Also recognizing alpha in the stills. We talked about, uncompressed content for LED walls. This is just looping content in the background that I could also implement. And then we briefly talked, especially for remote production, is all of these SRT feeds. So let's say I do have Kairos locally with me here in Orlando, and I'm doing some sort of broadcast from another receiving location or another multi-site location, and maybe they want to do some sort of like host moment with the broadcast location or something where they want to communicate back and forth between the two different services. I have 16 different SRT feeds basically built in, and actually these are configurable to be SRT, RTP, RTSP, whatever your flavor that you want can actually just be natively ingested into Kairos, and that's a lot of encoders cost that you would have to purchase. It's also on the output side as well, so I can output different streams to across the public internet, and that is a significant cost savings when you look at the amount of hardware that it would take to be able to pull this off, especially for multi-site remote production between locations.
Absolutely. I know we hear from churches all the time that have an international component where they're either working with a sister church or an affiliated church or even a mission trip where they want to take some of that production and bring it into what they're doing in their own house of worship. So Kairos is going to enable all that capability and more.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some amazing apps out there that will, send out an SRT feed directly from your phone. So if they were out there on the mission field, they could stream a feed directly back to the Kairos core, and they could do it live in service at their church. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Peyton, I want to thank you for not only doing the demo, but for tailoring the demo to our House of Worship audience that's tuned in today. We talked a lot about the Kairos Creator software and what that's capable of, and the different components I wanted to show off for just a moment on how you could build a Kairos production system. As we mentioned, it starts with the Kairos core. The first bundle we're showing here is with the KC200L1, which is their entry-level core, and a touch control panel software. That's going to come in right around $41,000. If you want to take that same capability in an SDI production workflow with a two-stripe control panel, you're at about $55,000. On the right side of the screen here, that's where we have kind of the mega bundle. And what Kairos can do is hit any workflow and any solution anywhere in between. So I didn't put that last bundle on here to give anyone sticker shock. I put it on there to show you the wide range of production capabilities. In the house of worship market, we could take anyone from the smallest congregation to the largest congregation to the multi-campus facilities and allow you to get a complete production system, screen management solution, and everything you need for your production environment. We work very closely with Panasonic. We actually have a Kairos production system available right here in our studio for demo. You can reach out to us at Worship Stream TV. You can give us a call and we can arrange a demo for you. And with that demo, we can even connect you to Panasonic if needed, or to your local integrator who is trained and certified on the Kairos systems. If you give us a call at 800-323-2325, we have a nationwide network of these system integrators available to you. And they're all out there working with these Kairos systems with Panasonic support. Peyton, I know you've even gone out to some of these installs yourself, right?
Oh, yes. Yes. I want to make sure everybody knows, sometimes a video switcher is a big investment and, you're always super concerned about, am I going to be set up for success? Yes, your integrator is going to help you, but also Panasonic is truly here to help you. We will fly out. We will train you and your integrator if the integrator isn't familiar with Kairos yet. So we will be there for you, especially even after the sale. So we're always available via phone call to be able to make sure that we can support it. And that's actually one of the best things about it being a software-based system. I mean, you give us, access to, share your computer screen to us. We can click through and make sure that we're change a couple settings for you and make sure that, I forgot after the training how to do something, or I just want a quick refresher. We're always there also for remote support as well, which makes it really simple and easy to be able to access from the software.
And Peyton, for the more technical people in our audience, if they want to roll up their sleeves and check out the Kairos Creator software, they can do that themselves, right?
That's right. Yeah. If you go to our Kairos Pass site, which if you go to the Panasonic Connect website, you'll see a link to the Pass site. And that you can download a free emulator and actually the Kairos Creator software. And the emulator basically acts like you have a core, a fake core that you're attaching to with the Kairos Creator software. And so you can pre-program your show. Even if you buy Kairos, you can pre-program your show while you're up in the air. If you don't have internet access or something like that, you can always load your show directly into your Kairos core at a different time.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today and for the great demo. If you have any questions about the Panasonic Kairos, you can reach out to us here at Worship Stream TV. Leave your questions in the chat or give us a call at 800-323-2325. Thanks for joining us.